Okay, I've had a shot of those. Tried macro and non-macro and everything in between. So back to the car and we'll have a go on the other site now. So as I said, yeah, we're getting to the end of these clips for this season, and I think the last clip will be looking for dichotomous and Bernarda at Mount Compass in January, sort of thing, when we know that the dichotomous ought to be flowering and the Bernarda ought to be, basically mid-season, losing its finesse or whatever, usually you get with the plants, its peak, it's just, past its peak and into flowering sort of thing. So we'll do that, and that'll be the end basically of the it'll be January 2014 when I'm finishing off the 2013 season, which sounds a bit arse upward and somewhat ironical, but it's just the way it is, South Australia, 7.5, probably almost 8 months off, and only 4.5, or 5 months maximum if possible on, sort of thing. Whereas in Western Australia it's the other way around, you're 8.5, almost 9 months on and barely 3 months off, sort of thing. So you can sense why we're stressed here in South Australia. We just don't get enough, don't get enough of our own backyard, sort of thing, it's just not long enough. Whereas, WA, it's like a small, and the other thing, it's always the same stuff, whereas in WA, wherever you go, there'll be a few that are the same as up the road, but everything else changes, and you never know what you're going to find. Down the road could be a new species sitting by a fence post, a small colony. It's like on Kangaroo Island, going down that bloody road, stop the car every basically 10 minutes, set the car on 60 k's, went down the road, 10 minutes, stop the car, nothing. 10 minutes down the road, stop the car, whang, bang, wham bam, thank you ma'am, there it was. So that's basically like the third spot down the road, not the corner, not the next one, but the next one. So that's 20 minutes down the road at 60 k's. You do the math. Is it 12 k's down the road? Hang on. If you do 60 k's in an hour, you'll do 60 k's. In 10 minutes, you'll do 10 k's. So it's 20 k's down the road. And then the 4 sites after that, nothing. So what are the odds are? You pick a particular speed and a particular time to stop the car, and lo and behold, second stop, bingo, a form of Rossa whittaker, almost looks like rotundifolia in a colony, It sort of seems like it's falling back into like a crater-like depression of the back end of Flinders Chase National Park, sort of thing. You can understand how the seeds could sort of, the plants could grow out, seeds roll back down, and over, hundreds of thousands to millions of years, you can see how speciation could possibly be happening on that crater edge of the park there. So, so you got this, and as I said, we've done more sort of research over the years, and it seems like the Drossel whittaker is probably a distant member of the Stolonifera complex, because it's got those grooves down the leaves, like some members of the Stolonifera complex have got those grooves down the leaves, and the way it flowers and things like that. And of course there was that new discovery of Drossera purpurescens in the Albany region, so it's very, very colourful as well, and got similar shaped sort of leaves, sort of thing. So you can see the progression probably across the southern land bridge before it got eaten out as the all the filigreed islands and the bight, basically. And it bodes well for sending a search party out to the west coast of Tasmania, sort of thing, around there. You never know what you might find. Now, I said there are different forms of. There's a giant auriculata, a giant arcturi in Tasmania. It appears to be round like serpentine areas. And there's other stuff that's been discovered in Tasmania. So, I think they really need to look more on the west coast there. and see what you find. There may be another member of like the Stolonifera complex sitting there waiting to be discovered. There may be another pygmies or variations of the pygmy, you know. I mean, if you make the assumption that pygmies are very small pedilarius, or pedilarius are just giant pygmies, yeah, and the fact that Pygmaea goes basically seems to go right across the southern part of Australia, it might be the only member of the pedilarius complex that's been able to adapt and grow along in a cold region. So you might get a variation of Pygmaea, you know, a very small pedilarius sort of thing, growing in somewhere on the west coast of Tasmania, you know, and be able to analyse its genetics and relate it back to some member of the pedilarius complex in the Northern Territory. I don't know, but you know, I'm nearly 50. I'm getting to, you know, the 2/3 stage of my life, I would say, you know, 70. I'm just passing on the knowledge as rapidly in the best form I can in very poor broadband Australia. We're basically, we're going to be almost 20 years behind the rest of the way things are going. But yeah, back to the car. I'm sorry this is a very long clip, but you know, I suppose that's the way it's coming out in dribs and drab piecemeal fashion. My life in retrospect, I think. Okay, over and out.